giving a dub out to Loren LaRosa, who has a new podcast that will be premiering on iHeart in April, I think it was.
Yeah.
Hell of a way to pivot out of this whole just hilarious situation.
Yeah.
Hell of a way to pivot.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm proud too.
I still don't understand the iHeart Black Effect network situation. Like I don't get it.
Well, so Black Effect is Charlamagne, ain't it?
Yes, but it's like that's his network and
Mhm.
then he signs all these people under him, but I don't understand like the
It
rhyme
kind of
and
feels
reason
like
for it.
how artists do record labels under their major. So Kanye was Def Jam, but
Mhm.
he also had good music underneath him.
Right.
So all the artists he signed were technically good music, but they were also Def Jam artists because Kanye signed to Def Jam.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
maybe it's a signing through association kind of situation. I could
And I feel
definitely
like
see
when I go on
more
YouTube and I type in Black Effect, I feel like I should be able to see everybody's stuff
everybody.
there, and it's
Yeah.
not there. That's why I don't get it. I don't understand this
Mhm.
whole network. I don't get it. But
Yeah, see, I was out. We actually gave Charlamagne a dub when he launched Black Effect, but I was always dubious on how the relationship was worked because I knew that there was something there with iHeart. I was like, okay, did
mhm,
they just fund you? Is this actually
right,
independent, or are you like a satellite company? You running a satellite company underneath the larger umbrella
right,
of iHeart? Is what that kind of feels like what it is now at this point. He's just a manager of an arm of iHeart, which is Black Effect.
right. Because I guess my question would be is what is the benefit of Lauren signing under him when she can just set her own podcast up on YouTube? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? I still cannot understand it.
The
Because at
push
least
machine.
when Joe Button tried to do it and you went
Mhm.
to his YouTube, you could see like all the people that he
All
had
his stuff.
under him
Yeah.
on there. So, but yeah, shout out to Lauren. I like Lauren.
I do too. I like the way she handled it. I like the way that she stood up for herself when it became on the live show. I think it's easy to pay deference to people with bigger profiles than you, but may not be technically or professionally uh, uh, um, as suited as you are.
Right.
Um, so I think she handled it as best as she could. Right? She said what was true. I'm an EP on the show. You are technically my talent. This is just a relationship. I'm not taking anything away from you. I didn't say that you
Right.
didn't help me get the job. I'm not saying that, you weren't here before me, but it is what it is
It is
now.
what it is.
And it's so messed up because they didn't put themselves in that position, right? Like
Yeah.
they waited, they slow played Jess on whether or not she was gonna be the third host. Then she gets pregnant and she has to go home. And then they put somebody in her spot. She helps them find that person, and then they essentially replace her with that person without telling her. And then they like, oh, you can work again. All right, we're just going and walking there. Y'all will figure it out. And it's no HR meetings. We ain't had no communications on who's supposed to be where. That was all kind of poorly managed.
But in defense of the corporation, I always have to
Ew,
defend corporate America.
ew.
I think, and I said this in my video, I think there was a lot of uncertainty in the situation where Lauren's here, okay, Jess is back, and the brass is probably like, I kind of like the way this looks. I kind of like this. So I don't think they were really even talking to anybody besides saying, how can we make this work? So you pull Lauren in the office. Hey, Lauren, what are you thinking about being fourth mic? And Lauren probably does like Elizabeth Olsen. Well, if I'm going to be an EP and talent, this is my price. And they
Mm.
probably was like,
Nah.
okay, not
Yeah.
even now. Let us see how to figure it out. So I think for the longest, they probably was trying to see how to figure it out. And that's why there was no conversations with Jess to say this is what we're thinking about doing. Because what if what we're thinking about doing doesn't work? Because if
Doesn't
I'm
work.
Lauren,
Yeah.
don't put my business out. Don't tell them what I'm asking for. Don't even tell them that we're negotiating. Because once again, this is a business. This is between me and you. So I can understand why there probably wasn't conversations and things was just kind of up in the air until a deal was done.
I don't know if I would have let them go on the air together though if we still have these type of questions. Because you're right, it's still a jeopardy
By
of it
then the
blowing
deal was
up.
done. The deal's done now. I think the deal was done like a 2-3 weeks before that.
So I'm talking all right. Back when Jess Hilarious supposedly went to the execs at iHeart and said, look, Lauren LaRosa can replace me while I'm out on maternity leave.
Right.
At that point, I'm not bringing Jess Hilarious back into that office until we have something defined. Have
Right.
something everybody knows where they're going to be. Everybody knows what their role is, so we can go forth without conflict. I feel like while the Breakfast Club is definitely a cultural barometer, it's definitely a culture setter.
Right.
What keeps it from elevating, I think, to being even more than what it is some of the kind of senseless conflict that's going on that show.
Right.
It,
Hmm.
it really distracts away from bringing people information. So
Right.
to avoid that, I think that they probably should have gone ahead and tried to get ahead of it a little bit more,
Right.
as opposed to just letting it play out. Because you let shit play
Hmm.
out in a room full of black people, it's a hit or miss. You gonna hit them with something.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy for them both. It seems like
Yeah.
Jess is still going to be on the show. Lauren's obviously going to be doing her own thing, and everybody's happy for now. Hope we don't get no
Yeah.
more beef.
Well, everybody should be happy.
Yeah,
They just should. I understand. I completely understand Jess's feelings, but like I said, they probably was not at liberty when she's
to
coming in the
discuss.
office.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Like, is Lauren here? Is she not? They probably was just like, hey, no, officially no, she's not. Well, why she still here? We can't talk about that. We can't. And if I'm Lauren, y'all better not be talking about it because I don't know where we stand right now. So
So okay, even in that though, right? There are some things that you would need to clear with. What if she say, "Look, I want to be here, but I don't want to be fourth. I want to be third." And so
who,
now you got to go
Lauren
have a
or Jess?
conversation.
Lauren or
Lauren,
Jess?
Lauren,
Oh, she ain't got
if
that
Lauren
much
said,
power. You can't do that. Jess's position was solidified.
no, I
You
get
can't.
that, but what if that's what she says? What if that was something that was proposed at the time? Because now you want me to be on screen talent, but I'm also an executive producer behind the scenes. So y'all need a lot more from me than you need from Jess Hilarious. You may like her, she may have had my position before me, but just in terms of negotiating who's
She
here
doesn't have that much leverage to do that.
as
You
a
just
producer
don't.
on the show, she can't go back and say that she means more than just on screen talent.
No, but I'm saying you can request anything. But if I'm the executive, I'm like, you don't have that much leverage to tell me that you now need to be Mike 3 over Jess, who's coming back from maternity leave. I understand you do a
It's
lot
a
of
bold
research.
ask. It is a bold ask, but we got to keep in mind they did just give her a show. They did just greenlight a show for her. So it's not
But
like they were
how
treating
big of
her
a
like a
deal is
little
that?
dog.
Once again, how big of a deal is that? You know,
I mean, specified screen time that's a big deal. If you got your
right,
own title, you got your own situation that you say, especially for somebody who produces shows, I think that's
right,
a big deal.
right.
So if they relented in that much, we don't know what they would have given her if she'd asked for it. Because we know Jess Hilarious ain't popping out with her own show.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't
I
think Jess wants her own show. Jess to me, Jess gives me I got comedy, so that's my
Mhm.
side thing. I'm gonna do the comedy and I'm gonna come in here. I think Lauren really enjoys what she's doing, so a show makes sense for her. I think Jess feels like I always got comedy on Instagram. I don't need and she does have her own show, but it's not on the Black Effect. Her and she did have her own like YouTube thing, but
Is she
yeah,
on Shaq's podcast or she was just a guest on Shaq's situation where
I
she was
don't
talking
know,
about
but
his baby mamas and stuff?
I know she did have her own show on YouTube, which proves that Jess really can have sensible conversations.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Lauren don't have that much. She don't have that much sway to come in and say I need to be Mike
I
3 when
need okay.
I already got a deal done with Jess. Like, sis, you would have to show me like how impressions and views and things that went
Sure.
up
Yeah.
tripled to even nah, sis.
To
You
ask
can
for
work
that.
your way up to Mike 3, but right now you're Mike 4.
All right, for sure. For sure. Hey, I see a couple of y'all asking about Jess's in comedy. Jess Hilarious, like pre Wildin' Out, pre Breakfast Club, all of this stuff was comedy gold. Y'all
Yeah,
talk about all of these comedy sketch artists now that's out, Drewskis and Trey Rags and Stupid King and all them guys now. Jess Hilarious predates all of them niggas.
yeah,
All of them. Desi Banks, all of them. She
yeah,
predates them all. And she made it to a higher trek than just about all of them except for maybe Drewski and Funny Marco.
yeah. And the other guy, Country Wayne, yeah.
Country Wayne and Country
When they
Wayne, well,
dated.
they was together. They was together. they kind of ascended at the same time. But
Yeah.
I
She's
think
not my flavor, but I would never take nothing away from her. She definitely had an imprint on social media and comedy for
for
sure.
sure. I want to see her make a special. That's what I say about a lot of these sketch artists. Like, it's cool to get it offline, but I feel like the range for that, or at least the range of monetization, is very limited. Right? You're never really going to scale up making
Mhm.
content on free platforms, and that's just is what it is. So
Right.
if you can't put together something that a Netflix, that an Amazon, that an HBO, a Showtime is going to pick up and produce, whether that's in movie form or comedy
Mhm.
special form, I don't really see the other pivot out of that. You can become an actor,
Yeah.
but then, how serious are people going to take you outside of comedy if,
Right.
and as a result of that. So I would love to see her and Drewski actually do some specials. So
Yeah.
see if they can actually do it.
Yeah.